Hey guys, it is part 2 of our progressions to developing the skill of walking on our hands. Today is all about being able to kick up to a handstand. Where progression number 1, if you haven't gone through that, we learn how to wall walk and gently get ourselves upside down, getting comfortable being upside down. But that is not an easy way to get upside down as far as kicking up for a handstand walk. So we need to learn how to kick up to a handstand, just going for it. All right, here's the ultimate goal right here. We want to be able to kick up to a handstand like this. All right, so that's our ultimate goal, to kick up to a freestanding handstand and then be able to start walking from there. But let's step back and talk about kicking up to a handstand. So first things first, guys, before we kick up to a handstand, we know that we're gonna apply a lot of pressure on our wrists when we kick up to a handstand. So before we just launch into it, what I like to do is I like to stretch out my wrists. Starting with turning my hands upside down, pointing my fingers at my knees, and gently rocking forwards and backwards in order to sort of loosen up my forearms. I've got really tight muscles in my forearms. I have very poor wrist flexibility. For example, if I just do this and this is as far as my wrist wants to go without any pressure. So I don't have great wrist flexibility. So I'm always going to stretch out my wrists before I do handstands. So that first stretch, fingers towards my knees. Then I'm going to stretch my wrists side to side, fingers pointing sideways, really gently rocking back and forth. Fingers forward, rocking forwards and backwards. We can also turn our fingers inwards towards each other and a little back and forth. I also like to do a little forwards and backwards here. So we want to take a minute, 2 minutes to stretch out our wrists to make sure they're ready to support our weight as we kick up overhead. All right, guys, so a couple things we want to pay attention to when we're getting ready to kick up to a handstand. First is safety. So it may not be a bad idea to have an ab mat or a pillow on the floor against the wall that we're going to be kicking up to. If we do need to come down, it'd be nice to rest our head on a ab mat as opposed to on the floor. So I'm going to set this over here. Next, when we think about kicking up, we want to make sure our arms are in a locked out position overhead. Locked, locked, locked. We never want our arms to bend as we're kicking up to a handstand. So to practice this, what I like to do is I like to start with my hands overhead and then kick up. Especially when we're first learning, start with our hands overhead and practice kicking up slightly to a handstand to see how that feels as we transition our weight. So here's a couple of kick-ups just to get a feel. All right, so those are just slight kick-ups. It's practicing getting the momentum from stepping into it, into holding our weight overhead, and then stepping back down. Stepping up, getting a little bit weight on our hands, stepping back down. Notice I wasn't very close to the wall there because I wasn't trying to kick up to the wall. I was just trying to practice transferring my weight from standing to my hands for just a second and coming back down, very much intending to come right back down. So now that we're going to kick up to the wall, there's a few things that we want to keep in mind. Again, we want to make sure our arms are locked out, and the best way to do that is to start with them locked out overhead even before we kick up. Second is we want to have a little bit of space between our hands and the wall, anywhere from 4 to 6 inches. We want our hands to go on the ground away from the wall so that as we kick up, we've got just a little bit of space so we can lean into the wall just a bit. If our hands are too close to the wall, as soon as we kick up, we're going to probably touch the wall and just lose balance and come right back down. So at this point, hands 4 to 6 inches away from the wall so that we can have just a slight lean into the wall that'll hold us there. Also, we don't want to kick a hole in the wall. So if you're doing this against drywall, you don't want to kick so hard that you're going to put your feet through the wall. So you're going to practice this and find just the right amount of momentum that gets you up gently against the wall, even if you come up short multiple times. That's going to happen, but you're going to practice and find a way to just get up and then kiss the wall. I'll show you what this looks like. All right, now we know where to put our hands, how to kick up, how to get our feet up against the wall. What do we do when we're upside down, and how do we think about that? A couple of things. First is we don't look at the floor. We actually look through our hands at the wall on the other side of the room. And the reason we do that is that it puts our body in a neutral position. It's kind of like if we were holding a barbell overhead, straight up overhead. We wouldn't look straight up at the barbell. That would put us in a weird position. We'd probably arch our back a little bit, our head would be out of whack. We really want to be stacked. We want our head to be neutral. Just like a barbell overhead, we want our skeleton to be doing most of the support work, even when we're upside down. So let that head come through, eyes look at the wall on the other side of the room. At the same time, think about squeezing your tummy tight. We're not letting our butt touch the wall by piking. We're not overly arching to touch the wall. We want to be as straight as possible. Squeezing our tummy, squeezing our butt, squeezing our legs together like an Olympic gymnast. All right, guys, a lot of things to remember. Arms locked out overhead. Put them down 4 to 6 inches away from the wall. Create enough momentum in your kick up to kiss the wall without punching a hole in it. Once we're up there, squeeze our butt, squeeze our tummy, squeeze our legs together. Head is neutral, looking at the wall on the other side of the room. All right, now for a couple of workouts to help you practice this over time. If you're brand new to this, you may not be kicking up to a handstand at all. So what I'd like you to do is a 10-minute EMOM. That's 10 rounds every minute on the minute. Practice 5 kick-ups. Just a slight kick up, get that weight on your hands and kick back down. Weight on your hands, right back down. I'm not even expecting you to get all the way to the wall. Just practice shifting the weight to your hands for just a second and back down. Do that 10 times every minute on the minute. And let's do that 3-4 times a week just to develop that practice until we get really comfortable kicking all the way up to the wall. Now, if you can kick up to the wall, what I'd like you to do is a 10-minute EMOM, 10 rounds every minute on the minute. Kick up to a handstand, hold it for 5 full seconds, and back down. We're developing our tolerance for being upside down as well as our strength in holding ourselves upside down. 10-minute EMOM, a few times a week, practice that. The next progression would have us doing the same 10-minute EMOM, but now increasing the time upside down. Something like 20 seconds every minute on the minute for 10 minutes would be really appropriate. Finally, once you've mastered the 10-minute EMOM, it's time to start accumulating time upside down in a handstand and really building our capacity for holding ourselves upside down. So that's going to look like accumulating 5 minutes in a handstand hold against the wall 3 to 4 times a week. So it might be holding a 30-second hold, taking a rest, another 30 seconds, taking a rest, another 30 seconds, taking a rest. Maybe you hold a handstand for a minute, and then 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, or maybe 2 minutes, who knows? But really, we're just looking to develop our capacity for holding ourselves upside down. Really important to be able to hold ourselves confidently upside down before we start walking on our hands. So that's it for progression 2. Kick up against the wall, develop that skill of holding yourself upside down, and we'll see you soon for progression number 3.